Today we wanted to talk about the relationship between a wholesaler and an agent and how they can work well together. And we'll probably talk about how they don't work well together too. But we'll cover all of that today. So that is what we're talking about. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Chuck, let's dive in first off.
I just wanted to tell any new listeners who we are. So, Ryan, you've done about 425 real estate wholesale deals in St. Joseph, Missouri. And wholesaling is where you find a rundown property and you pass it off to a cash investor who pays you a finder's fee, right? So you don't even use any of your money, but you get paid those finder's fees. And then I created a process that's helped people close 10,000 deals in all 50 states with the software platform called DealMachine. We're 7 years into that. Is Chuck sending deals to you, or are you like?
We haven't got there yet.
Exactly.
I don't think. I think most.
Oh, well, we did one, right?
Oh, you're right. We did.
We did one late last year.
Yeah.
And that was a perfect example of how it works. Do you want me to share that?
Yes. Then share it.
Okay. Yeah, I almost forgot about that too. But last year, we had an older couple who wanted to buy a house. They lived in an older 2-story home, wanted to find something all level and something they could manage, basically. This house was too big for them, and they'd been there 40 years, and it was full of contents. They just said, hey, we need to sell this thing. I met with them initially. We knew it was going to be tough with all the stuff they had in there. They kind of had almost like an estate sale, for lack of a better term, just got rid of a bunch of the good stuff and had a ton of stuff left. And I thought to myself, man, I had just met Ryan not too long before that, maybe a couple months. And I thought to myself, I should talk to Ryan about this because he's going to be able to look at this and determine, is there a price at which he could either find an investor for it, and maybe that's what happened. I actually don't know, or flipped it, or he could flip it into something that they wanted to hold, and he could do that without really any inconvenience to the sellers. They owned it outright. It was the perfect opportunity to say, okay, what are you guys willing to take just to walk away? And that's what we did. Ryan walked in there. He said what he would give them. He promised that he would save them the time and expense of emptying out the rest of the house, because that would have been a major ordeal for them. And he just said, hey, we'll just take it the way it sits. And so that was a way to help them get through that transition a lot easier. And
it was awesome. Well. And actually, when I walked in there, I negotiated that house with the expectation of I would need to find a buyer for it. So what the truth is, what happened, I actually bought it and it's still in my portfolio because it was too good of a deal. So, but that's when I went in, I was like, okay, I'm going into this running my numbers based off of me finding a buyer for this deal and making a profit on it. And then it wasn't. That's when we had some issues with that first lender that we used, but that's when it became. I was like, this is too good of a deal to wholesale. I have to keep it. But that was the first
Chuck,
one.
Did you make a commission on that deal that was really run down? And did you? Okay.
Yeah, I did. And a lot of times, I mean, look, I'm not. I know we have kind of what we start out with as a commission thing, but I'm all about the more deals and the more happy customers, the merrier everybody is,
Oh, yeah.
So let's
I'm
make sure that we can
get the actual details of how you guys are helping.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So
right.
Did you list?
So I did, and I think in that situation, I missed you there for a second, David. I was talking too much.
Oh yeah, I would say, did you actually list the house, or did you say, oh, it's not good enough to list, but I know Ryan would buy it?
We did not. We were going to list it if Ryan and I may have approached someone else if Ryan wasn't interested, but we were going to list it. But man, the condition it was in, the contents and everything would have been more of a longer. I think it would have been a longer process. And so I wanted to start with Ryan, and I thought, well, if Ryan doesn't want it, I may have a couple other guys I can call who might want to flip it. But that's where we went. So we did not list it. We just did an authorization to show, and I built that commission into there. But, a lot of times I'll just take a little something to do the paperwork for these guys and make everybody happy.
Got it. So lot of agents think that wholesalers are trying to undercut agents. Switching gears now, that was very helpful. Thank you for explaining that. So a lot of agents, they'll think, well, the wholesalers are just trying to, undercut agents. They're trying to do these deals without involving us. Do you think that way?
Well, my first answer is, don't we? I mean, isn't that what a lot of people are doing? Is trying to. I mean, you have people who need to sell in certain situations. So, like I feel like we fight every day to earn our keep, basically. And people want to sell by owner or sell to someone off market, or I'm going to sell to someone I go to school with or church with or whatever. We're constantly trying to bring value and show what we do for someone. And so that's the hard part. But no, initially, I don't think I understood, early in my career, how we could benefit each other until we started having these conversations. Because I've seen the bad ones, and we've experienced. In fact, Ryan and I and Caleb, who he mentioned earlier, we shared an experience about just here a couple months ago where we had a pretty rough experience with a young, inexperienced wholesaler who didn't know what he was doing and really kind of messed up a couple things. And but these guys have a good heart. They explained what their mission was. And quite honestly, I don't know why anyone gets upset about people trying to make a living in an honest fashion, especially something that beautifies neighborhoods here, helps people find affordable housing, those types of things. I've always wondered that. I mean, people, oh, well, wait a minute, all you want's commission. Well, I mean, how many people go to work and clock in for nothing? I mean, we work to make a living. It's an honest, hard-working job, and both of us are doing that. We just have it set up kind of differently. But no, I'm totally, having worked with Ryan, and maybe
the distinction is
to a lesser degree, one or two other wholesalers just in and out, but this one, Ryan and I have a stronger relationship than I would with any other wholesaler, but he's explained
the distinction is obviously, like, this house you came across, you didn't list it, right? There's a reason for that. It's because retail buyers don't want to buy that.
Yes.
And so, yeah, like the wholesalers focus on the rundown properties that retail buyers don't want to, purchase. And typically agents are focusing on the retail properties that people want to purchase. So that you're just doing two different things, basically, is what the distinction is in my mind.
Right. And this served the customer.
I like how you collaborated on that. Are there any other direct examples of how you guys have helped each other out?
Well, I will jump in adversely how Chuck has helped us lately. I think maybe 3 deals now that we've got under contract and we have sent to our buyers. None of them were eager to jump in on a specific deal. Reach out to Chuck. Hey, here's the property. Here's the stats. And all 3 times Chuck has been able to bring a buyer to us. And that has been, to me, that's what I had heard people saying, okay, you need to connect with the real estate agents, go to meetups, find the agents, they have buyers. That had not been my experience yet. So this relationship and meeting Chuck was the first time I, here in St. Joe, had that experience of I reached out to a local agent who actually had buyers, who actually bought one of my wholesale deals. And then that, to me, that's okay, now we've got something that we can build on. He's helped me, I've helped him. We both know exactly what we are doing in this market, and I hope that the relationship that we are building hopefully changes that narrative for other realtors in town, because so many times I feel like the way that we present our deals to Chuck still leave it possible for him to make a decent sized commission on them.
How do you present
and
that?
So
actually, let's say
the way that
somebody had a deal and
the way that we want to do it
for the first time, how would you present that?
The way that we approached it was we got the house under contract for what our price would be. And so our sales price, before we even mention it to Chuck's person, we would tell Chuck, okay, hey, we have this house we need to sell this house for $25,000. Anything that you want to put on top for your fee, put it on top so that you're covered, but we need to clear $25,000. And that has worked like a charm.
And we've seen them turn out well already. We've seen a few of them hand it off to the investor We turn around and list it when they finish. He sells it. So everybody along the way did their jobs and benefited well.
Now, going back to something, this is really interesting, to where I said, where did you guys meet? And Chuck, you said here. Where exactly was here? In St. Joseph, I assume met.
Sorry. Well, I didn't know if you wanted to know we went to a restaurant and had lunch or what, but yes, in St. Joseph.
How did you,
we went here in St. Joseph.
Like, how'd you get connected?
What's that?
And what restaurant did you go to?
We went to 54th Street, and we got connected through the client there who had worked with me on his primary residences before, who then in turn later on started a working relationship with Ryan. And he introduced the two of us and said, "Hey, you guys need to meet."
This guy had bought properties from Ryan, and then he bought a primary house with you.
Hey guys, if you know you want to quit your job in the next 3 months, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast, because we've got some incredible frameworks with step-by-step instruction that you're not going to want to miss. Also, leave us a rating and review to let us know your favorite parts and why you want to get financial freedom.
Yeah, I think we helped him sell one and buy his next residence as well.
I had all the full picture put together. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool. Yeah, that's another piece. Like, Caleb bought his first, I think it was his first technical flip from us on 23rd Street, somewhere over there. Yeah, somewhere over there.
Yeah.
And it was a monstrosity of a house. Like, it was so disgusting.
Yes.
The pictures, there was a picture of the bathtub that was full of poop. And when I say full, I mean, David, I will send you the photo. You will want to see this.
Oh, no. He's like, no.
But Caleb did a great job on it. He got it fixed up and then listed it with Chuck. And that was the connection, was Caleb bought a property from me as a wholesale investor, but then used Chuck to sell. And then I know that you guys have bought and sold, helped him find his house, his primary residence. But then since all of that has transpired, Caleb is also one of our acquisitions reps. So Caleb is out finding properties. And the good thing is that Caleb has that friendship with Chuck. So a lot of times Caleb get a property under contract, and he's already in that conversation with Chuck. Hey, I got this house under contract. Do you have a buyer for it? And it's just been moving really well.
Amazing. So yeah, I just to add to working with agents as an investor, I was able to work with an agent a lot this past year, and I wanted to tell you guys about it if you want.
I want to hear it.
All right. So I actually I bought this software called Zoom Offers Now. What it does is it actually links my agent's email address, and it takes her DocuSign that she'd normally send via DocuSign, and then it auto-fills it. And it gives me access to all of the actual properties that are listed on the MLS. It connects through that. There's a bit of setup, right, to get this thing working. And it's like $1,500 startup fee, not cheap. But what we did was it has a slider where I could click on the houses that I'm interested in, and then I could slide it from 0% to 100%, so that it would put together an offer on every one of the properties that I'm interested in, and then individually send them out from my agent to the listing agent with filled complete DocuSign. So I had found luck doing 70% offers. I actually bought 6 homes that way. I sent out about 500 offers. At first, I was blanketing everything, but then it does give my agent some work, right? Because the other agents respond, and so she likes to have a good experience and respond to everybody. So I was like, okay, I can't just blanket the whole market. I'm going to be a little bit more selective on the houses I actually want. So for me, I like 3 to houses that in perfect condition, may be worth like $200,000 with the backyard. This is just kind of my go-to in Indianapolis. So so I filtered those out, made about 500 offers, did 6 deals, all at 70% or below. I actually started out 56%, which kind of made people mad more than anything, but I did get one deal. So and that was about $100,000 of equity. So I will say it did work, but it was causing a lot of work for my agent. So I increased the percentage and had a little bit more luck. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And she made, full commission on every single one of those transactions. And many of them did require like a little bit of work, but not like too bad because they were listed on market. So, and by the way, I did properties that were like 90 or 120 days listed on the market as well. I didn't do brand new listings that way.
Yeah.
Well, I want to do it.
Ryan, Ryan, you want me to fire out 500 offers? Hopefully we get 6 of them done.
If y'all wanted to do that, because Ryan can control the offers that get sent out.
Right.
The one thing that we adjusted our process was she's like, if I'm on a client meeting, I'd prefer that you don't send out 50 offers like at that time, because I want to reply to everyone, and it really catches me off guard when they all start replying.
Yeah.
So then we kind of worked it out where I'd like work out what is good for me to send these out, and we do like once a week. And so that's how the software was still helpful. Just coordinating the time that I sent those out with her was super helpful.
Yeah, one of the things we can't be afraid of is trying to find those opportunities. And I think that's one of the things we haven't done quite yet, where I look at stuff that's on the market, because these guys can see it too, but to look at stuff on the market and say, wow, that's 120 days on the market. We ought to shoot them something because that's a nice place. I showed it to someone, didn't work for them. Ryan wants that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's really... Go ahead, Dave.
Accept the offer right away, but it sat on another month, but they knew I was an option, right? So then they come back like a month later and be like, hey, is that offer still good?
Right.
That's what I was going to say. You never know what somebody will accept unless you get an offer in front of them.
Exactly. And I think we all know this right now. Sellers are pricing too high. I mean, and every time we go in and tell someone, hey, we think this is what it's going to sell for, we will either they'll say, okay, but let's start it here. We can always lower it. What do they say every single time? Oh, we can lower it, but we can't raise it. Ha, ha, ha. That's what they say. And so sometimes we'll do that, and they'll say, okay, we'll help you out here, but a week to 2 weeks in, we need you to lower the price if we're not getting any action on this. So everyone's listing too high. So that's number one. And then if it sits a while, or the other target, I think, is when it's been under contract and it comes back on the market. Someone's frustrated. It's sat there for a while. They got a buyer. The buyer backed out because of an inspection issue or something like that, or financing, and now it's back on the market. That's the time to jump in sometimes and say, hey, we'll rescue this one, but here's our offer. This is what we're going to do if you want to get this back under contract quickly.
So if we're talking, just to wrap this up, I thought this was super helpful and insightful for me personally to learn how you guys work together, different than I've worked with my agent. So hopefully that was helpful for you as well. If a new wholesaler was out here, would you recommend we work with an agent? Would you recommend they just kind of get their feet under themselves first before, working with an agent? Becker, question.
I have a comment, but Chuck,
Ryan,
that's maybe
Chuck
you, Ryan,
or myself. Right? I would say that the faster that you reach out to an agent, the better, because to me, it took a long time for that to even be a possibility, because I knew a lot of the agents here in town were not real thrilled with wholesalers. And this is a small town. A lot of people know me. So I didn't want to go out and be like, oh, I'm wholesaling and make everyone mad, because people knew quickly that I was, and they were not happy about it. I'd got phone calls that, hey, we heard you're wholesaling. We don't like this business model. And it was just like, okay, well, I'm trying to make this a better experience. And so I went out and I did tons of deals consistently without the help of an agent. But connecting that sooner, if you're able to connect with an agent and do good, honest business together, you're helping each other out. Like Chuck has brought buyers to us that we wouldn't have found, that we wouldn't have had access to. And we've been able to bring properties that he likewise wouldn't have had access to either. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's an untapped, if you haven't reached out to real estate agents, it's an untapped potential. You could do so much with this both ways, them finding buyers and distressed properties that aren't moving, and vice versa, you finding properties for their buyers. So Chuck, you can jump in on that too.
Yeah, one of the things, just to give you a little hint on one of the things we're working on now with one of Ryan's team members, is we see a huge issue right now trying to get buyers in the, and this is going to seem really low, but the $75,000 to $125,000 range who have to go FHA. So we're starting to try to build this program together where we can find a house at 30 or 40,000. Ryan's team goes in and puts enough in it to get it through the FHA process, and then we find a buyer for that. So we've got people ready to go right now, approved, but you can't find a house that's going to pass, FHA standards, for example, at $50,000 or $60,000. So let's find something that needs a little bit of work. They step in and do it. We help each other. And then we, in turn, help a buyer who's struggling to find something right now with the extremely low inventory. So I'm excited about that, too, because I think it's going to work out great in our market.
Sure.
Well, Chuck, where can people find you on social media?
It's at Chuck Davis Real Estate. I really only concentrate on Facebook, man. I'm busy. So it's like, I used to have the Instagram stuff and a few others, and it's just at Chuck Davis Real Estate on Facebook. They can find me. And I connect with anyone until they give me a reason not to, right? It's too many scammers and spammers out there. But I'd love to connect with people in the real estate.
Thank you so much, Chuck, for the interview. And I hope that you find many more gems like Ryan to work with, and that they find you too.
No, we're just going to stick with Ryan.
That's great.
No, man, it's all good. I appreciate you guys.
It's your day.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.